Big Monsterverse news because it is continuing with new Apple TV series and undoubtedly another movie. Order your figures at Big Bad Toy Store today at the link in the description before they sell out.
Monkey, Kaiju, Dragon Ball, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hello there, collectors. It's going to be Steven here, and welcome to another Hiya Toys review, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Exquisite Basic Skull Crawler Devil, the thing that Kong fought in Skull Island. So it's Skull Devil more formally, but you know, everyone likes to call this a Skull Crawler. He, she, they, Scully, whatever. Technically, this is going to be the big one that Kong fought at the end of the movie, which is apparently the Big Mama, but regardless of pronouns, I'm going to alternate between them because headcanon, this is sort of my tribe. This is going to be my crew of skull crawlers, whatever you would prefer to call it. So I'm going to flip-flop. So this is going to be interesting because, yes, X Plus, Star Ace, whichever, and Playmates, they have done their own figures in their own right, okay? But we have not had a true skull crawler action figure, and this is going to be our first one. Not Tamashii Nations, not Bandai, no Movie Monster series, Hiya. They're taking a huge risk here, but did it pay off? In short, the answer is yes, but we have a couple hangups. Let's take a look to see whether or not it's going to be worth adding into your collection. For the Skull Devil, we have a design choice, which is rather interesting, which can lead to a few issues if you're not really gentle with the figure. And then we have one design flaw, which is catastrophic and will lead to damage over time. This is objective. This isn't, well, just that, nope, this is something that is a flaw. And your figure, if you have it right now, is actually probably broken. So first and foremost, the paint application is rather rock solid, I will say. We do have some nice bone white for the head, and that's going to be found on the back of the arms, the legs. You know what I'm talking about. That also includes that spike that is going to be on the elbow, the knee, whatever. Couple of other paint dry brushings and minor paint apps here and there. In terms of accuracy, after just watching the final battle again and again and again, it seems like there's some inaccuracies in terms of paint. They didn't go really strong enough on the back, but nevertheless, what Hiya delivered here is pretty solid. Here's where one of the flaws is going to come in, and I am going to talk about the scraping in the articulation section and show you what I mean, but I just told you. The figure is prone to paint scrapage, and by that, I mean the figure is cast in like a sort of cloudy white plastic, and everything is painted on. So it's not like this is cast in a green plastic and they put the painted detail on this. So if you are not gentle with the articulation, meaning if you really ham this and you force it, this figure is prone to scratching. So just be gentle with that. However, when it comes to being gentle, nothing can avoid the following issue. The mouth. It looks pretty rock solid. The mouth webbing is a little exaggerated. Unfortunately, the tongue, it should be a bit more prominent because that's like the defining feature of the skull crawler's mouth, I would say. We do have the teeth that will be in there, including up on the roof of the mouth and then on the bottom, but the big issue is going to be the mouth webbing. So it's made of a softer rubber-like plastic material, and that is susceptible, nigh guaranteed, to crack. Some have said it's only the paint. However, thanks to macro photography, we can get a nice up-close look and we can see it is the actual material in and of itself, which is cracking. And I've seen others who have actually pulled it out of the box and it's a straight split right down the middle. So it's a matter of when, not a matter of if here. And I will say that it actually feels like dehydrated on all three of mine. Yeah, the thumbnail and the intro shot was not Photoshop, folks. So definitely keep that in mind and be appropriate. As you'll see in the articulation section as well, the paint application on the bendy wire tail does not seem like it's going to flake anytime soon. So for the paint apps, I think Hiya did rather solid here, but there is the chance of variance from unit to unit. So, I mean, I got three. Let's just do a quick comparison where you will see that the green wash does change from each one, where one is super duper strong and you can see it from a mile away. It's almost strongly neon green. And then there's another one where you can't even really see the green at all. So paint application will vary wildly from each one. It's just something to keep in mind. Woo! Articulation. Now the Skull Devil, Skull Crawlers, I've got 3. I got 1 she, 2 he's, so them, whatever your genders will be. So the articulation is pretty sweet, but it's pretty simplistic, all things considered. I like it. There are a few range issues that I think could have been corrected, but for the price, I think it's pretty solid. We do have an issue, though, that you do need to be aware about, so let's go ahead and talk about how this thing moves. So, first and foremost, the jaw. This is going to be the part of the figure that is, unfortunately, the most disappointing. So yes, obviously it opens and closes on a hinge, right? And that's going to be the thing, opens and closes and opens and closes. But I showed you a picture of it. I'm going to recap it here as if it's the first time I'm talking about it. Yeah, the webbing, the membrane, it has a specific name, but I forget what it's called. Some believe that it is just going to be the paint, but it does thoroughly appear to be the actual plastic itself that is cracking, which is not a good thing. We don't really like to see that. It does feel dry. Like it feels unmoistened. Like it feels like if I were to really play with that, it would completely shatter. So you don't like to see it. It kind of sucks, but it is what it is. They experimented. They failed. Thank you for trying. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. Okay, so be safe opening and closing the mouth. That's the point. This section of the head, right? And the neck. It's on a ball joint here. It only moves around just like this pretty much. So look up that far, look down that far, and that's the extent of the range of movement for that. Look left, look right. We can obviously twist and turn, but the disappointing thing is when we factor in this neck joint, right? So we can't really look down much farther when we factor in other body joints, yes. But look how much, when we crank it, we can get the Skull Devil to look up that far, which is really cool. I think it's going to be like a barbell style joint system in here. That's what it kind of seems to be. I don't actually think so, but that's what it kind of feels like you can do that, because you can like wiggle this section down to get more clearance. But c'est la vie. So if you want the Skull Devil to really look up with just the neck joints, you can. I'm going to continue on here to talk about the body joints. So we're going to have what would, I guess on a humanoid figure, be the ab crunch, and that's going to be on a ball joint. So it does reveal more of the sculpt, which is really good. So we can twist and turn and spin and rock forward that, do all the fun things. Don't really want to twist and turn too much unless you have the figure crouched forward, because then, as you can see here, you're going to get some paint rubbing. Now, when you do that, then you can get the Skull Devil to sort of look down farther. So when you have her posed, then she can look down, okay? Then you do have the, I guess, the waist joint, which is a ball joint, and that does the same thing. You can see that the tail is popping off because the tail here, actually, unfortunately, quality control issue, was not actually glued in correctly. That's going to be a quality control issue. I could do that myself. I'm lazy and I haven't. Okay, so that's going to be the main body. I will talk about the tail more in a second. For the arms, legs, somebody who is very, very well known for anatomy, comment below. We do have, where they plug in, swivels, so they spin around. Good. Hinge, single hinge. Raise up about that. High. T-pose on your enemies. There you go. Single bicep swivel, which is nice. Dedicated, we don't need more. Double hinges, which is more than what the Skull Devil needs, but more is good in this situation, because not only does it look natural, we actually get full use of the double hinge. Most figures do not. I would clap, but I can't. So 2 snaps. Hiya, 2 snaps. Wrists. Okay. So pretty much standard. Swivel where they plug in. We get a hinge, right? And then a swivel where they plug into the hands or the foot, whatever. So we get rockers, right? So very, very cool. I don't really see many people complaining about this, but they are not pinless. So everyone was complaining about Godzilla's jaw, but not here. Okay. Tail. Bendy wire. As you can clearly see. But here's the real kicker. Here's what I really want to show you, okay? Apparently, I was too rough in Rodan's review showcasing how you move bendy wire. So, to my understanding, this is how you appropriately move bendy wire so it doesn't break, okay? This is how you appropriately do it. Not this. Not that. Nothing broke. Don't do it. Yeah, that is not appropriate, to be clear. But yes, be reasonable with it. Okay. It is very sturdy. It is very flexible. If you're not crazy with it, it should be fine. I think I've only seen one report of broken wire tail, so you should be good. Overall, aside from this quality control issue with the articulation, I'm really pleased with it. I think that if they were able to get her to look down more, that would be great. That would be great. But, c'est la vie. All right, accessories. None. Zippo, zilch, nada. Go home. No accessories here. No support stand. No boat propeller. For the Kong that's coming out, or is out now at the time of upload, nada. No little skull crawlers. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Good job, Hiya. Now to round the review off, here's going to be a side comparison with both Kong and the Skull Crawler or Devil, whichever you would prefer. And I'm totally not going to reuse this section for both of the reviews. I decided to put these two together because I would imagine a lot of folks are going to go ahead and get both of them, and you want to figure out how they're going to look on the shelf with your other figures and kaiju, titans, whatever. So here you go. I think the skull crawler is going to be a bit too big, but I think Kong blends in rather nicely. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. The looks for the Skull Devil are pretty solid on model. I'll leave that back to you, but I do think that this one does look pretty solid compared to what we saw on the screen. For the articulation, it is going to be rather nice. It is at like a 90 out of 100. There are a couple of things they could have improved. We already talked about that. But the lack of accessories and the fact that we do have the damage for the mouth webbing, which that is a big oversight, unfortunately. Those are two big things that do work against the Skull Crawler. Skull Devil, whichever. Tomato here. $50 or thereabout dollars. Is it going to be worth the purchase? Personally, I like this. It is very, very nice to see that we do have the more obscure kaiju in the overall Kong Godzilla mythos, if you will, being represented in action figure format when we have other companies who have had access to the licenses not even touch it. So, do I love this? I actually can't say that I do. Do I strongly like it? Yes. $50? Not exactly, but keeping in mind, those extra few pennies go towards other things we just might love. It's something to keep in mind.